Good morning and welcome to the National Newspaper Publishers Association's Let It Be Known. Perhaps no one summed up the vitality, vitalness, and let's face it, the necessity of Black Twitter than Wired culture writer Jason Parham, who wrote recently that funeral arrangements for Black Twitter began in earnest on November 10th when Nikki Boom, a graphic designer who has been a member of the social media platform since 2009, posted a quote-unquote celebration of life flyer to her Twitter page. The response was nuclear. What did people plan to wear to the service? Their most dripped out church attire, of course. What songs will be played? Imaginary gospel classics, Take My Hand, O Precious Lord, and Going Over Tumblr were encouraged. And what of the repast? Whatever was to be served, it was agreed that no quote unquote brown bags or foil should be used for the to-go plates, not the go-to plates. The food was meant for the family. The discussion, like most discussions on Black Twitter, contained the charm of a group chat. It was loose and humorous, but so intentionally specific that an outsider might have trouble keeping pace. It was also emblematic of what has made Black Twitter an unparalleled force throughout its 13 years. The ability to seamlessly remix Black customs, waves of speech, and issues onto our shared digital terrain in a manner that feels somehow familiar but new. Black Twitter has endured as the premier cultural marketplace of our time because it accomplished what no other digital body could. Under the ownership of Elon Musk, however, all of that could fade away in an instant. Today, we're talking Black Twitter with lawyer, journalist, and pop culture personality Eboni K. Williams. How you doing, Eboni?
I'm doing well, Stacey. How about yourself?
Doing good. It's always good to have you. So, Eboni, first, let's start with that whole monologue about Black Twitter, Black social media. I know that when Elon took over, we heard a lot of people say, and I'm talking celebrities and your everyday guys alike, say, I'm out. They went to Instagram, to the gram, as they say, or somewhere else. What did you hear, Eboni, when it came to Twitter? I know you had your issues with Twitter long before Elon Musk, but what did you hear about folks in Black Twitter?
I heard a lot of that same narrative, Stacey. I heard a lot of Black people. I mean, Whoopi Goldberg, who's somebody I've had the privilege of co-hosting The View on occasion with. She immediately said she's out. And we heard that from several high-profile Black celebs. I think Elon Musk is obviously, just anti-Black. I think he clearly shows up that way. And so I think anybody with a sense of consciousness has appropriate concerns and wants to distance themselves from that. Like you said, my Twitter was hacked pre-Elon acquiring it. And for me, it just wasn't even where it was too hard and too much kind of like technical glitchiness to even get back on it. So I stayed with what has always been my primary social media platform, which is Instagram.
Yeah.
I find it easier to use. It gives me more space and I have fuller dialogue and convey more narrative. But, listen, there's always going to be some Black folks that are going to stay with the platform. I don't necessarily think that's problematic. Elon Musk is just one person. Things change, and we've seen ownership change before. So it wouldn't totally shock me to see a sale of Twitter as early as next year. It just would not surprise me as to the way this thing is playing out.
He just ain't getting that 44 billion back, right?
Never say never, but even if he doesn't, I mean, I think at this point, at some point, he's also got other concerns. Not to make this too much about Elon, but what's happening with Twitter is affecting Tesla.
Right.
So if he's at all the businessman that he's supposed to be, Stacey, at some point you cut your losses to make sure that you preserve the most important revenue you've got going, which for him is clearly Tesla.
And perhaps you're right, because he just stepped down as CEO of Twitter. I don't know, if that's just symbolic or what, but I guess we'll find out because it's already showing some frustration there.
Sure.
And so, there are other, like you said, there are other avenues, other platforms, but it just seems that Black Twitter is just not going away. Folks just love to get on, and they love to talk about things that are really, in a lot of ways, controversial. We see some problems with Black women getting just, beat up on. let's take the
Sure.
Megan Thee Stallion, Meg Thee Stallion incident. That
Mhm.
situation, any time now, even as we speak, a verdict can come in on the Tory Lanez situation.
Mm.
There's been a lot of stuff on both sides, but it seems like if I had to put a number on it, Ebony, 60% or maybe 65% against Megan and about 35% for her. Why is there a divide when she's the victim? As Jamel Hill said in her column, wrote in her column, this is the victim. She's not the perpetrator.
I would say the numbers are closer to 80-20. I think
Mm,
80% of the vitriol and negativity that I've seen has been against Megan, the victim here, and then 20, excuse me, only I would say 80% has been for Tory rather, and that I think controls for all genders. I think we've got a situation where you've got majority of black men and women devastatingly are trolling Megan. They are disrespecting this black woman, and I think it's something that we have seen historically consistently.
yeah.
Even look at the smoke. I believe it was Beverly Johnson got when she was vocal about the assault that she endured at the hands of Bill Cosby. So people, I think we just need to be honest. A lot of people just yell hate black women. You hate black women. There is no mechanism of protection when it comes to black women in America. Malcolm X said the most disrespected person in America is the black woman, and sadly that holds true today, Stacey.
Yeah, and we see that. Look, there was one poll just today as a jury deliberated the Tory Lanez verdict that it's an incomplete poll, of course, unscientific, but it shows that, to your point, eight almost, I think it was like 80-20 or whatever, and saying
Mhm.
that he's going to get acquitted. I
I do
mean,
think he's going to get acquitted, by the way, and I do say that from a legal lens only, Stacey. I have always just instinctually. Uh, Here's what I absolutely believe. I believe that Megan Thee Stallion was shot. I believe that she was shot intentionally. I do think that the prosecutors have successfully met that burden. Where it does get dicey from a legal standpoint is who shot her. Unfortunately, there's been conflicting testimony. There's been, just even an inconsistency from Megan herself in terms of her initial statement to investigators. Now, we understand why she did that. She's operating
right.
in a posture of protection of black men in 2020 summer, where we're watching black men be murdered on the streets for no good reason. So of course she's not wanting to invite law enforcement to have to engage with another black man being Tory Lanez and be responsible for what happens. We get why, but legally it causes a problem. You've got a consistency issue. You've got a credibility issue that I could see jurors easily, Stacey, saying, it's not that we believe Meg is lying about seeing Tory shooting her or believing that Tory is shooting her, but
Right.
is the evidence totally conclusive to a proof beyond a reasonable doubt that it might not have been the best friend, Kelsey Harris, or someone else? Because there's no bodyguard testifying, because Kelsey's contradicting her own testimony.
Yep.
You're saying the LAPD for hours that you saw him and it was him and he apologized for all this. Then you get on a witness stand and under oath say no comment. Essentially, it's a proof problem for the prosecution.
Well, and you're an attorney among other things. I mean, you've done so much, um, and you go into a courtroom and you like you said, you see the contradictions. All you need is one juror, right?
Yeah. That's why I don't expect to see a conviction. I really don't. Anything could happen with a jury. I do know that from my legal career. We could be surprised, some of us in the legal community. But the consensus amongst my legal friends, Stacey, we do not expect this thing to be a conviction.
And having said that, let me ask you this to stand just for a moment here with Megan and the legal system, and want to take advantage of the fact that you have this legal knowledge, so among other things, Ebony. But um, so you have a witness who on not necessarily direct examination, but even prior to going to court, she's on record. The police talked to her, detectives talked to her, and she said this. Then
Hmm.
she gets on the stand and says the complete opposite. Um, so you see the reasonable doubt, right? And so
Yes,
people will say no justice, it's not justice or whatever, but it's the justice system, right?
sure. I mean, from again a legal standpoint, you can't really argue with an acquittal verdict. Like, it's the same thing that happened with George Zimmerman in the sense that no one's saying that Tory Lanez is innocent. And an acquittal does not mean that. What it means is that the prosecution was unable to reach a very high burden, as it should be a high burden in a court of criminal law, where you're talking about somebody's liberty at play. If they cannot reach that burden unequivocally beyond a reasonable doubt, um, that does not take off all accountability from Tory. We might never know what really happened there, but it's just the nature of law and justice, as you explained.
Yeah, if you don't mind, let's talk a little bit about our people. I mean, someone
Hmm.
tweeted this, right, and with a lot of likes and comments
Hmm.
that supported this tweet. That this individual says she was hit with shrapnel stemming from an argument and subsequent fight between her and her bestie over Meg's multiple disloyal sexual escapades. The fact that she then lied about the cause and then the fight to protect her quote unquote girl power image is the reason they are being brought up. And then you have this other guy says, so much I could say about this article, talking about
Mm.
Jamel Hill's article, in which she
Mm.
says Megan is the victim. Um, he says, so much I could say about this article and the implicit bias that it feeds. I'll just say this. It's the court's job to find the truth using all evidence, whether it makes her look bad or not. She did lie. That's a fact. If her lie ruins a life for 20 years, who will be the real victim? This idea that Black women can't be victims is not just
Hmm.
a white idea.
Hmm.
It's in our community.
Very much so. Very much so. I mean,
Why, Ebony?
unfortunately,
Why? And especially for
it, it-
Black men. I'm a Black man. I should be asking myself that, right? But I'm asking you from
right.
your
Yeah, I
lens.
was gonna say, you tell me, Stacey. No, I mean, all I know is when we have the internal conversation as a collective Black people between the positioning and the posture of Black men and Black women, what I tend to hear is uh, a lot of Black men, not all, but many, too many, in my opinion, feel that they have it worse. It becomes an oppression Olympics, right? It becomes this oppression Olympics around which one, Black men or Black women, have a more horrific American experience. And I do believe that as long as we stay invested in that oppression Olympics, we will never progress as a people. We will not. We will continue to never even get past the starting blocks of economic and social and political uh, empowerment because we're too busy infighting around this, and it's very devastating to me to see. Um, and and also unsurprising. It just really has always to me been the nature of what happens. Look at Mike. Remember Mike Tyson in the rape case a
Yes.
million years ago? We saw that then.
Yep.
That poor young lady went through the gutter as a proof. In the court of law, ultimately he was convicted of that rape. Served time on it, and to this day she is still demonized in the Black community. That's just what we do to Black women who dare have the audacity to try to bring some level of accountability when it comes to the actions of some Black men.
Yeah. Yeah. I like how you put that some.
Just some.
But
Yeah.
and then you got this case, the case down in Atlanta, now Young Thug, right? And
Yeah.
you have that, and it seems like everybody, and I think just about everyone who was arrested with him now have accepted a plea deal.
Mm-hmm.
They're out of jail,
Mm-hmm.
but prosecutors are going after him, and of course, majority of Black men, and of course some Black women are saying, they should let him go. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't work that way, right?
Well, it certainly didn't work that way. Once again, the prosecutor in that case down in Atlanta is a Black woman. I don't think we can not say that part. And
Right.
that she is also, by some of us, being demonized for doing her job, which is seeking justice. And so, yeah, again, the pattern to me is clear, and that's not coming from a place of victimhood. It's a place of honest assessment as to what we see going on, whether it's a RICO charge in Atlanta, whether it's a assault with a deadly weapon charge in Los Angeles, or again going back 30, 40 years with a rape allegation against the heavyweight champion of the world. It's very difficult to be a Black woman, find yourself victim at the hands of any man, least of all a Black man, and get any level of compassion or empathy from even other Black women, which is also a problem.
Yeah, and Ebony, how much do social media platforms play in swaying people's, particularly Black people's attitudes?
It's devastatingly impactful, and I say devastatingly, Stacey, because I do agree with one part of a quote you said earlier, which is we need to let the courts do their jobs and play out what is actual justice in this case. What's happening now because of social media is everybody's an armchair lawyer, everybody's an armchair forensic analyst, everybody's a Twitter, medical expert, and people are coming to these broad-based, narrative-based conclusions based on snippets, this and that, misinformation, disinformation, and it has a devastating consequence. It really does. I mean, when Megan said, whether you believe the nature of her allegations or not, when the woman said on the stand under oath that she really in some ways wished that she just would have died because she doesn't want to be here anymore, but then we want to have all this outrage when Twitch or my dear friend Miss USA 2019 Chesley Chris killed themselves, and we want to act like, oh my God, but this is a young woman telling us her suicidal thoughts. And we're
Yeah.
also seeing how the level of devastating trolling on social media, and I'm sure in real life, I can't imagine what it's like for Megan when she goes into a space in hip hop or the Grammys,
Yeah.
and then when it becomes too real and people do kill themselves and take their lives, we want to act outraged and shocked as a community. I think
Yeah.
it's disingenuous, Stacey.
There was testimony that after she was shot, she was also beaten,
Hmm.
which is interesting because what I've noticed, my wife said the same thing over the past couple of years, and I don't know Megan personally. I've been around a lot of and spent a lot of time with a lot of major A-list superstars. The look that Megan has had in the last couple of years, even when she's been breaking records, making records,
Hmm.
it's a look of fear that I have never seen, a look of
Hmm.
unsure about myself. Despite, and Megan walks out on the stage, she's got on a thong, and she's, everything,
Hmm.
so it takes confidence to do something like that. But she has this look like something is going to sense the shooting, right?
Yeah.
This look of oh my gosh, what do I do next? I've never seen that look in an A-list power celebrity ever before.
Yeah.
And like I said, I've spent some up close and personal time for years and years with certain celebrities. I don't see that. And with Megan, and hearing that testimony, I don't know if it's true that she was assaulted after the shooting, but I wouldn't be surprised based on how she's carried herself the last couple of years. And you have to have, if you have a little bit of a heart, even if you
Hmm.
are Tory Lane's fan, you
Sure.
got to feel for her, right?
Human condition would say so. But I think again, that's where we're back to the same empathy problem, lack of just ability to hold space for the fragility of Black women. Black women don't get to be fragile in this world. White women do. Uh, Asian women certainly do. Sometimes Latina women do. But Black women, we never get the uh, posture of fragility. We have to be strong. We have to protect ourselves. We have to bear it. We've got to suffer. And it's a positioning that I'm seeing a new generation, Stacey, of Black women reject and just say, if all it is us being here for one another, then that's what we will do.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to ask you too. Do you see that finally coming to a head where Black women just say, you know what, it's us against the world, including
Some of
including
us,
Black men,
correct. Yeah, yeah. And including some other Black women. So there's also this kind of bifurcated nature of Black women, some of whom say, well, we must protect Black men at all costs, even if that means suffering at the hands of their abuser. And others of us are like, nah, time's up on that. Is the world tremendously unjust rather to Black men? Absolutely. And does that invite them to take out their trauma on us? It does not. So two things have to be true. We have to support and continue to be in partnership with Black men in America, and we also must hold them accountable
mhm,
when they, show up in posture that is traumatizing to us.
without hold them accountable without fear of retribution of any kind, right?
Yeah, I mean, one would hope, but I think even in the face of the retribution, Stacey, what you're seeing is we will bear that consequence.
Right.
Sometimes it is what it is, unpopular, disliked, talked about, called names. At this point, there's some of us that will just engage in that consequence for the sake of justice and protecting our own humanity.
Yeah, and then on the other side of the coin, Ebony, you have the Candace Owens of the world. You
Oh, I
know,
cannot even speak on her. And this is a perfect time to go because I do have to go for filming, but I don't give energy to topics or individuals that I don't intend to amplify.
yeah, yeah, I hear you. Um, okay, so you got to run. Before we let you run, tell us a little bit, real quick, about what Ebony K. Williams is up to these days.
Oh, absolutely. So here, I'm going to reach here in my bag and show you better than I can tell you. My new book is Bet on Black, the good, hold on, where is it? Good news about being Black in America today. It is available to order right now on Amazon or wherever you get your books, and it will be on shelves in local bookstores and Target all over the world January 31st. And it is, I think, a much needed narrative for Blackness. It is really challenging with love the relationship that we as Black Americans have with our own Blackness, purging up, as Brother Baldwin would say, throwing up all the negative and falsehoods around what Blackness is, and replenishing that with the accuracy of the beauty of the Black American story.
Wow. Do you have a website, Ebony, that folks can go to?
Right now, you can buy the book on buybetonblack.com, just all that word. And my website will be up and running at the first week of January, which will be ebonykWilliams.com.
And one more time, the book, name of the book,
Bet
show us the
on
book
Black.
again,
Yep.
and the
Bet on
date of
Black.
release.
The good news about being Black in America, January 31st.
I hope
And
you come
you and
back
your
and share with
audience
us.
can, yeah, you guys can engage with me on Instagram at Ebony K. Williams all the time. So thank you so much, Stacey. This was a great
Thank
chat.
you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Ebony K. Williams, everyone. Thank you so much.